My name's Jim Thomas, and this is the first in a series of video, audio, and text blogs that I'm going to publish once a week. This one's called Just a Line on a Spreadsheet. When the majority of people don't get beyond a pass in their basic maths education and do very little further learning on numbers, it should be of no surprise that most people struggle with finances. Recently, I was in conversation with a number of people working in small, micro, voluntary sector organisations about the impact a lack of number knowledge can have on small voluntary sector organisations. What I mean by this is the ease at which a commissioner needing to find a quick saving can undo years of patient community building with a mouse click. For example, small, relatively secure annual funding that is not tightly performance managed can be the difference between small voluntary organisations surviving and thriving. The organisation might use that funding as match funding for a larger bid. They might put it into reserves to be drawn down when times are hard. They might use it to fund volunteer training, transport, or other basic costs such as insurance. And what does the commissioner get in return? They might get 100 volunteers providing a mental health crisis home support service to people at risk of mental health breakdown. They might get volunteers regularly visiting vulnerable people living alone. They might get volunteers delivering medication, cooking for people, giving people lifts to appointments, accompanying people to events such as sporting or cultural ones. Each of these micro volunteer support systems taking the pressure off the statutory sector and enabling the statutory sector to get on with supporting and treating people with higher and more complex needs. As one commissioner said to me recently, without the voluntary sector, our main services would just fall apart. So looking at this through a simple cost-benefit lens, a £5,000 annual investment in a micro volunteer service such as the mental health crisis home support example. If those 100 volunteers were each offering 5 hours a week of support for 30 weeks a year, that excludes pensions and employers' national insurance, this would cost, if we were paying for that as paid employees, about £170,600 a year. That's without looking at other additional costs such as training, travel, supervision and administration costs. Whichever way you look at the numbers, that's a significant cost benefit for a very small investment, without beginning to consider how the work that the volunteers do contributes significantly to improving life outcomes for people with mental health needs, keeping them out of hospital, out of other statutory services, and enabling them to be more integrated into their communities. It can take many years to develop a micro-community volunteer-led support service. It might seem very invisible and not very valuable at a strategic level, but for local people and the wider community, it's probably the lifeline that keeps them well. So the next time you need to make £5,000 worth of saving in your spreadsheet, take a little time to think about what you actually get for that £5,000. 10 years to develop, 5 minutes to destroy, £5,000 saved, £170,000, and the rest lost. Thank you for listening.